to explain away just one point, they can spend so much of time and so much of writing. Amazing. You know. So meticulous. You can't be meticulous, unless you are totally into the topic, interested. If your attention is divided, you can't be meticulous about anything. The thoroughness. So they were, what is it really that gave them that inner total dedication? Maybe sanskara, maybe the long familiarity with the scripture, or maybe lack of exposure to the worldly pleasures. That is also. Sometimes even exposure to the worldly pleasures dilutes your dedication to the truth. For all being human, we have our frailties. एक तपस्वी विश्वामित्रा तपस्या 2-3 साल, बहुत साल तपस्या करने के बाद can have distraction to मेनका. क्या है जी? It will be wonderful to note this point. That is, man is intelligent enough to bulldoze all distractions and move towards the truth. Yes, he has enough intelligence to bulldoze all, landmines. Clear all the landmines. He has enough intelligence to clear all the landmines and move towards the truth. As I can see, yes, it's possible. But we cannot also underestimate he has some innate frailties, the weaknesses of his flesh. The weakness of his senses. You see, it is a combination of glory and weakness. Man is a combination of glory and weakness, frailties. He is a combination of might and frailties. Maybe if they had taught such kind of, I sometimes, personally, I sometimes wonder how they had such great, untiring dedication, untiring commitment, untiring absorption, great absorption into the realm of reflection of the truth. Why? One of the reasons is Purva Janma Sanskara. Another reason is long study of the Shastra. Family, grounding. The third reason, as you see, is lack of exposure to. There's no exposure to the material. Availability of the pleasures was less. Maybe that was also. I don't know what it is. I understand anybody in any situation can really appreciate the value of self-knowledge, all right. But when a person goes about it, he also goes through certain distractions. Kabhi. Thoda bahut. Flesh has its pulse. and they didn't have even that, it looks. So, kuch to tha ji. They were very, very regular in their Nitya Karma, daily prayer. That also takes care of a lot of things. Daily prayer, regular prayer. So many, multiple factors gave them that one-pointed dedication to understanding the truth. Plus another thing, correctness of reflection. No experimenting, maybe it could be that, maybe it could be that, could be this, could be that. No. There is certain correctness of reflection. They followed the tradition of reflection. Thus they became meticulous. Their meticulousness you can see in this Bhashyam. Okay, ji. Thus, after a long analysis, they have now, they say, even though the pot, even before the pot is born, pot is still there. Instead of going round and round, we can say, even before the pot is created, the pot is there as the unmanifest. There ends the matter. When the pot is created, it is there as manifest. When the pot is broken, it is still there as unmanifest. Thus there is unbroken continuity of existence of pot, either in the manifest state or in the unmanifest state. Good analogy. In the coming paragraphs, you can see the meticulousness. How persistent is the thinking here. He says, my dear Shunyavadi, I have proved to you that pot exists even before it is created. Because the existence of the pot is linked to the existence of clay. If the pot's existence were unrelated to clay, independent of clay, then you can say, when you don't see it, it is not there. But it is related to clay. It lies, within the clay lies the potentiality of pot. Yes. And therefore, even before the pot is born, the pot is there. And now you can see the meticulousness. Bhashyakara is going to say, even looking at the future creation, you always have the desire to create a pot. And you have the desire to create the pot because you know it is possible to create the pot. That means it is potentially there in the clay. And he is going to say a Brahmastram. In this God's creation, in this universe, there is no pravritti on the part of nobody makes an effort to bring about what is totally non-existent. What is not there in the potential state can never be created. Like you see, in the sand, oil is not there potentially. There is no potentiality of oil in the sand. So if you really put it in a grinder, it will become powder, all right. You don't get oil. But if you put sesame in a grinder, then you get the oil. Why? It is potentially there. Therefore, it's a great indication, Ji. The very human effort, human beings always make an effort to achieve something what is possible. What is difficult to achieve but can be achieved also is potentially available. Therefore, all that man works for is potentially available. What is avyakritam is made vyakritam by man. When individual unmanifest things are made manifest by man, it is called man's creation. Did you hear that? Supposing he reaches a place, his very desire to reach a place is justified because he understands it is possible to reach. That means that even before he reaches, the reaching is in the potential state. Reaching is in the potential state. Even before you clean the house, you make a desire, you entertain a desire to clean it. And even before you clean it, that cleanliness was in the potential state. All human achievements, even before they were made, were the potential state. Thus, all the individual achievements which are made manifest by man are called human achievements. But when Bhagavan makes, when the unmanifest universe is made manifest, it is God's achievement, God's creation. But human achievements are all within the realm of God's achievement. Because that the unmanifest alone can become manifest. What is totally non-existent cannot be made existent is the principle, is the law. That is within God's law. What is avyakritam can become vyakritam. That is called creation. Now I want you to concentrate on this point. Creation means making the manifest, making the unmanifest manifest. Okay, this is creation. There is no other kind of creation. There is no other kind of creation. Now the question comes, alright sir, this universe is manifest now, before it was unmanifest, before that it was manifest, before that it was unmanifest, it goes on. But how did in the first place this name and form, which become now manifest and now unmanifest and now manifest and now unmanifest, where from did they come? This is where you have to cover that step. If you can cover that step, you are a very highly intelligent person. The name and form, which become now manifest, now unmanifest, are errors about the truth. It is the erroneous names and forms. The very idea of form is a perception about. Name and form includes the totality of name and form. Name and form does not mean a given individual name and form. Name and form means the entire universe plus me as an individual. This is called form. And the entire language body is called name and form. Other than the truth, me as an individual and related to the universe, me as an individual and the universe, is a form for which there is name. This entire setup of individuality and the universe is called the name and form, is what is called, is avidya kalpitam. It is an error about the truth. It is this error about the truth that becomes now manifest, now unmanifest. Yes! The adhyastha. Therefore, what becomes now manifest and now unmanifest, to begin with, we say it is the name and form. And where from did this name and form come? They are appearances in the truth. If the person is average student, we say it is an appearance in the truth. If he is brilliant, then we say it is a perception in the truth. Yes, because except as perception it has no existence. Except as perception it has no existence. Therefore, even before, and therefore you cannot really, all human vanity is useless. Why? Because he can never bring about what is not. He can only make manifest what is unmanifest. Aur kya hai? Aur kya? He can only achieve what is possible. The entire science before it was discovered was unmanifest. That very capacity to discover was unmanifest. It becomes manifest. Now the next question is, this is something very... That very phenomenon of the unmanifest slowly becomes manifest in time. In the case of human beings, that very principle of the unmanifest slowly becoming manifest is a part of God's creation. It is a God's principle. It's not Purusha Tantram. It's not a subjective thing. An infant becomes a teenager. Is it subjective? Is it a subjective? He liked to grow, therefore he liked. He wanted to become a teenager, therefore he became a teenager, not otherwise. Therefore the teenager status was unmanifest, becomes a manifest in time. And slowly old age also becomes a manifest. That means old age was in the potential state. Therefore, we don't have to gloat upon our achievement. Kuch bhi nahi ji, the unmanifest becomes slowly manifest. Okay, ji. Swami ji, aage chalo. Now Bhashyakara see his meticulousness, very beautiful. I am going to read. Atita anagata pratyaya bhedacha. Even before pot is created, it was already there in the potential state. In the same manner, even before the universe was created, it was there in the unmanifest state. But then when you are talking to a Shunyavadi, in what way do you help yourself by saying this? So that you avoid the Shunyavada. That means presence is always there. The universe, even before it was created, it was there the moment you say, then there is no Shunyavada. Shunyavada means emptiness. Generally some of the philosophers tend to say like this. Before the pot was created, pot was not there but clay was there. That is not true. Even before the pot was created, pot was there in the potential state, plus the source is there, of course. That's a different matter. We accept two things. One is the presence of the clay. The other is the potentiality of the pot. Two things we accept. Whereas some of the philosophers insist on saying that before the pot was created, pot was not there but clay was there. That's clumsy. Similarly, some of the philosophers say before the universe was created, universe was not there but Brahman was there. In fact, when Vedanta says before the creation there was nothing, it means what? Before the creation there was nothing manifest. And sometimes we also say there was nothing manifest. There was only, even the unmanifest was non-separate from the source. Now you see, Atita Anagata Pratyaya Bhedacha. Atita means past. Anagata means future. You think of the state of the pot before it was born. It's a past stage and its future stage. You see? Man makes an effort to create a pot because he understands its possibility. That is why the pot that was unmanifest is made manifest now. And now the pot that is unmanifest can become manifest in future. Thus, when we look at the pot, we look at three stages. Its present presence, its present manifest state, its past unmanifest presence, its present manifest presence, and its future, and also its present unmanifest presence. Supposing at present if it is unmanifest, and in future it is going to become manifest. Thus, this manifest stage and the unmanifest stage of the pot keep alternating each other. Usme kya hai? Atita Anagata Pratyaya Bhedacha. Now he explains it. This is where I want you to register the meticulousness. Very beautiful. How these people used their intelligence totally to analyze the truth, to refute one powerful wrong thought. They used all their intelligence to refute. If you can refute one wrong thought that plays havoc in the world, you have done your job really. You are an avataraji. Very difficult. Sometimes what happens, these sages, this is what sometimes when I sit alone I think. To clash with Ravana is not easy, because he has the Shakti. But you can refute his thinking on paper and go. Maybe in time the society may become stronger and stronger to reject Ravana. You understand? To reject that kind of thinking. Therefore, they just wrote down beautifully and went away. If you can't clash with Ravana, You write a book that clashes with his thinking. Are you able to follow? If you can't clash with an evil, because evil has imported weapons. It has very, very huge weapons. You can't clash with the evil. But let your literature, what your writings clash with the thinking of that evil. Attack the thinking rather than people. Sometimes when you need to attack the people, the evil person, power, like Ravana has a power, then Bhagavan will come. Chakram. But you and me can't clash with Ravana. If we clash with Ravana, he will hand us over to Kumbhakarna, he will simply gulp us down. That's taking a big risk. And as we become wiser and wiser and wiser and wiser, then he says, "Get it, let Bhagavan handle everything. Let me understand the truth and disappear." Bas. Anyway, now he says, see, Atitaha Ghataha. See the meticulousness. Thought was past. Atitaha Ghataha. The pot was is one statement. Ji. Pot was. Anagataha Ghataha. The pot will be. Well, just follow it in English, it's very difficult. In Sanskrit you can't. Pot. Atitaha Ghataha. Anagataha Ghataha. Etayoscha pratyayoho vartamana ghata pratyayavat na nirvishayatvam yuktam. Atitaha ghataha can also be interpreted pot was or pot was not. Let us say pot was not. Anagataha pot will be. Pot. No, I would like to translate. Pot was and is not. Pot will be but is not. This pot was and pot will be. Pot was but now it is not. Pot will be, right now it is not, but pot will be. So let us make a sentence like this. This pot that is now was not before, or the pot is not now will be in future. I think we will reorganize this. It's a very beautiful, beautiful way. This is one of my very interesting ways of thinking. The pot that is now was not, and the pot that is not will be. So I am referring to the pot, the past of the pot and the future of the pot. Supposing the pot was not there before, right now the past pot is not there. Right now, the future part is not there. But yet I make a reference, the past part and the future part. I am making a reference. This reference to the past part and the future part is not totally, it is not without, that phrase is not without a reality, without a thing. Meaning that language has a meaning. Like when I say a square circle, square is there. There is something called square. There is something called a circle. When you combine them, something which looks both like square and circle is not there. There is a mere word for which there is no object. I want you to understand this. A square circle is a phrase for which there is no object. Or man's horn is a word, but for which there is no object. Rabbit's horn is just a word for which there is no object. Skyflower is just a word for which there is no object. But when I say the Atitaga, the past part and the future part. The past part means what? Now it is not there, it was there. And the future part, even though it is not there now, it will be there. So the part that will is not there now, but then the part that will be there. Now that future part, that phrase, does it have an object or not? Because it has an object which will become manifest in future. Supposing when I say man's horn, not only it was not, not only it is not, but also it will not be. So a word becomes a mere word for which there is no object if the object of that word is non-existent in all the three periods of time. But supposing it is not there in one time but becomes available at another time, was not there in the past but is in the present, or is not in the present but will be in the future, was not but is, and is not but will be, but in some time or the other, in one period or the other, it becomes manifest. Then that word, past part or future part, has its object. Shunyam is that. Even the word shunyam is that, for which there is no object. If there is an object, then it ceases to be shunyam. Why? Because I am going to tell you this, trying to take you to certain realms, very, very subtle. Vedanta says, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasa. Truth transcends the word and thought. Okay? But it is there. It is anubhava siddham. It is not an object of thought, it is not an object of word, but it is swataha siddham. Now, Buddhists also say, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. Shunyam is something that is not, that transcends the word and thought. and it is not Swata Siddham. That word Siddham cannot be used for Shunyam, not emptiness. You see, truth may not be an object of a word, but the truth is the subject matter of a word. A word can convey the truth. Did you follow this point? Truth may not be an object of a word. Language may not be able to qualify the truth, but it can convey the truth. It is the subject matter of it, can be the subject matter of the language. Supposing you have a word for which there is no object at all, then it is Shunya. But this word Atitaha Ghataha, past part or future part, and I am going to reorganize it. The part that was not is. The part that is not will be. Let us take it this way. This part that was not there before, then you say, was it not? No. It was only unmanifest. Because what is never there, what is not at all there, will not be there in all the three stages, 3 periods of time. You know, we have a definition in Vedanta, Trikalepi Tishtati. What exists in all the 3 periods of time is creation. Objects exist in all the 3 periods of time. And truth is Trikala Atitam, that which transcends the 3 periods of time. So every object exists before, now and later. Either it is there in the unmanifest state or in the manifest state or in the unmanifest state. Therefore, language, the name and form, when we say the word Ghataha can refer to the manifest part. It can also refer to the unmanifest part. Manifest means manifestly present. Unmanifest means unmanifestly present. To be unmanifestly present is different from being absent. Both is subtle idea. Man's horn is absent. 6th element is absent. The 3rd eye is absent. The 6th sense or 7th sense is absent. So absence is something. Nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate sataha. Bhagavan says. What is non-existent can never become existent. What a thinking, Ji. Why do you say that what is non-existent can never become existent? That's because what is unmanifestly present alone can become manifestly present. The present becomes present, the absent can't become present. Is it not something totally different from the universal thinking? The present becomes present. The what is unmanifestly present becomes manifestly present. But there is no such a thing. What is absent becomes present. You know, this thinking will ultimately help you in understanding the truth. It can give you an insight into the great eternity. Because when you look at life, you will not look at life as something that is and was not. You will look at life as something that is manifestly present now, unmanifestly present before. Does it not make a difference? manifestly present and manifestly present. Like waking is the manifest presence of an individual, and sleep is the unmanifest presence of an individual. Thus the movement is only from the presence to presence, not from absence to presence. We interpret even the universally opined absence as presence. Vedanta interprets the universally opined, concluded absence as presence. Whereas Buddhism interprets even the perceived presence as absence. बस इतना ही फर्क है. What a meticulous thinking it is. Buddhists interpret even the perceived presence of the universe as absence. Vedanta interprets even the universally opined absence. Sleep is absence, death is absence, before life is absent. Even that absence is interpreted as presence. There is no such a thing called absence. It is all presence. Wave is present, boiling down to the presence of water. And therefore, Atitaha gataha anagataha gataha ityetayoscha pratyayyoho vartamana gata pratyayavat na nirvishayatvam yuktam. Up to that. Nirvishayatvam na yuktam. It is not fair that you can use the word pot without there being an object pot. Pot before means unmanifestly present, manifestly present or unmanifestly present. Like the pot that is not will be means what? Right now it is not manifest, but it will be manifest. Keeping in view the future presence, I can straight away say pot. But how can it be absent now and present in future? No, not absent now and present future. That is how a layman thinks. A layman says what was not before, what was absent before, present now, or what is absent now will be present future, but in future. But Shastra says it was unmanifestly present, now manifestly present. Now unmanifestly present will be manifestly present. Only in such a situation you can use the word pot for any stage. But nirvishayatvam is not possible. There is a pile of clay. I say there is pot in it. In that clay, I say there is pot in it. So when I say there is a pot in it, I am not being wrong, because there is a potentiality of pot in it. But when I look at a man's head and say there is a horn, am I being right? There is a horn on his head. No, there is no potential. There, I see only a pile of clay, but I say there is a pot in it. There is nothing wrong. Therefore, the language that pertains to the God's creation, it is never nirvishayam. It is never without a meaning, without an object. There are 5 elements, and the language that is used for describing the 5 elements is not nirvishayam. It has the topic. It pertains to the presence. Supposing I start describing some 6th element, then that is nirvishayam, my imagination. A square circle is nirvishayam. Puja Bade Swamiji used to say, Gagabuga. Have you ever, do you remember? He used to say Gagabuga. What is Gagabuga ji? Gagabuga is a sound for which there is no object. Similarly, Shunyam is a word for which there is no object. That is Shunyam. But when it comes to the language used for God's creation, it's never nirvishayam. It's always referring to the presence. The entire language refers to either the presence of the manifest thing or the presence of the unmanifest thing. Presence is not broken. Manifestation changes. Now manifest, now absent, now manifest, now unmanifest, but never now present, now absent. The moment you say now present, now absent, it becomes another school of thought. Baba. It becomes another school of thought. Because if we accept the presence and absence alternating each other, you can also imagine the presence of truth alternating with its absence. Supposing we appreciate the presence of the universe doesn't alternate with the absence of the creation, meaning presence never alternates with absence. Presence never alternates with absence. In fact, this applies, see. Swamiji, you say presence doesn't alternate with absence. Supposing there was world war, okay? And after the world war ended, there is no world war. That means the world war, the presence of the world war is alternating with the absence of the world war. Wo bhi galat hai. The world war is now manifest, now unmanifest. Ji, all phenomena remain. Even anger. Does the presence of anger alternate with the absence of anger? No. Now it is manifest. Now it is unmanifest. Ye samajhne se na, you will have greater wisdom about people. Unmanifest. In fact, everything in one's mind, the whole creation, never alternates with its absence. It alternates with its unmanifest state. That means in its presence there is no break. This is called the great continuity. So I like this, the great continuity of the creation. The great continuity of the jiva. And this great continuity of the jiva is rooted in the great eternity. If you can reject the breaking of the presence of the jiva, that means your Vedanta doesn't include the principle. Vedanta never says things are now present, now absent. Things are always present. You are always present, sir. You are never absent. Like a bird, sometimes it gives an example, some of the acharyas give an example. When you go into sleep, it is like a bird going into the nest. A bird flutters and goes into the nest. A man going into sleep is like a bird going into the nest. A man waking up from sleep is like a bird coming out of the nest. When the bird comes out of the nest, it is visible. Goes into the nest, it's not visible. Therefore, there is never absence. If there is never absence, now my question is, where is the fear? Fear is always related to absence, I am telling you. You know, I am going to talk about this. Fear is not related to losing this body. Fear is related to losing one's existence. Fear is related to uncertainty, mainly coming to an end. There are so many things. But a little bit of reflection is understood. Because it is one's nature not to be absent. To be ever there is one's nature. To be ever there is one's nature. To be ever there is one's nature. Jiva as a jiva is ever there, either manifest or unmanifest, and Paramatma is ever there as ever evident. So when I look at myself as a jiva, I am ever there. When I look at myself as the ocean, I am ever there. There is never absence. That is why Bhagavan Krishna says, Abhyaktadini Bhutani say, if you look at yourself as Paramatma, you have no reason to fear, and if you look at yourself as Jivatma, you have no reason to fear. Why? As a Jiva, Abhyaktadini Bhutani Vyaktamadhyani Varata Abhyaktunidhananyeva Tatraka Paridevana. As a Jiva, now you are manifest, now you are unmanifest, again manifest, unmanifest, goes on. What is the fear? If you get attached to things in this life, then it becomes a problem. I don't want to leave this world because wo paratha wala gali roz jata tha. Sometimes man doesn't want to leave things to which he is attached. Death is such a profound thing. To receive it, I must rise above these attachments, and this will come and go. You should look at life as a train journey, Ji. A train journey. If life is a train journey, then you can't be attached to your box, in which you are traveling. That seat, that train. There is a certain thrill in movement. So everybody gets attached to the comfort of the train journey. But in that train, some people are traveling in the first class, some are traveling in the second class, some are traveling without any reservation. Wahan par bhi pura class system hai ji. There are comfortable, less comfortable, least comfortable. Kahin bhi jao, ye to hai. You can't do anything about it, and therefore, even the one gets attached to the comfort of the train journey, the thrill of the train journey, and the company during the train journey. But after all, it is a train journey. You have to leave. You have to quit. And some people, after getting down from the train, people they cry for parting. I don't know when we are going to meet. Just they were only for 2 hours and they got so attached. My God, they can exchange their addresses, their telephone numbers. Pata nahi kab milenge, kya वगैरह वगैरह. My God, human beings become very, very attached. He can quickly get attached, and he can quickly break off also. And therefore, if I have to get off the train without tears, if I have to die without tears, I must look at life as a train journey. Another point I want to make. This is a Brahmastram. Don't look at the waking state as the native state. Don't look at the waking state as the native state. Sleep is the native state. Freedom from thought is the native state. For a while you assume the thought and again leave it. Freedom from thought is not assumed and left. Thought is, therefore, which is native? Freedom from thought is the native state. And therefore, यहाँ पर तो मेहमान है. ये तो बहुत, it is to understand what I am telling also is very, you have to rise. You have to really listen to it very carefully. Waking is not our native state. Our permanent state is freedom from thought. Our temporary state is thought. Waking is a realm of thought. Dream is a realm of thought. Sleep is a realm of freedom from thought. Before life, freedom from thought. We assume thought for a while and leave it. Why should we be scared of freedom from thought when that is our native state? And in the native state, there is no problem. When there is no thought, there is no problem also. But man fears death. Do you know why? He thinks he is leaving his native state. This is not native state. Waking state is not the native state. Try to think about it. It's a big point. You can fight fear of death. You can fight fear of pain. You can fight every kind of fear by just understanding this point. Our native state is freedom from thought. That is our natural state. Freedom from thought is our natural Swarupavastha. Thought is a created state. It is a assume. It is wrong to say, I assume freedom from thought and leave it. Because freedom from thought is not something that you can assume. Freedom from thought you are. Thought you assume and leave. Waking state we assume and leave. Dream state we assume and leave. Whereas freedom from them is natural state. If you just think about this, then where is the question of slowly at least some degree become less. If Vedanta can't solve the problem, at least it can be a palliative. Palliative to such a huge problem, Rama. Not an ordinary problem. If Vedanta can make even a small difference, it is worth it, even though it solves the problem. But supposing one thinks it doesn't solve the problem, all right, if it can give you a relief, good enough. That doesn't mean it is meant to give only relief. According to one's adhikaritvam, one only derives that much. Okay, ji. Anagatarthi pravrittescha. Just another few minutes. I can't move ahead. Pata nahi kyun. Anagata arthi pravrittescha. A person who wants to have a part in future, he always goes about working for it. If a person goes about working for a pot in future, that very effort to create a pot means that he sees the presence of the pot. He sees the unmanifest presence and he only makes an effort to make it manifest. Bas itna hi hai. The effort is not to make the absent pot present. but his effort is only to make the unmanifestly present pot manifestly present. Thus, that means there is no absence. In Vedanta, there is no non-existent. Swamiji, you say, according to Vedanta, there is no non-existent. What about man's horn? I say, even man's horn is imagination. Actually, man's horn refers to man and a horn. Man is present, horn is present, and my genius brings them together. Man doesn't have a horn, okay? And that which has a horn is not a man. Cow has a horn. Cow is a horn, cow is not a man. I don't have a horn. But instead of looking at man without a horn and a cow with a horn, I try to bring them together, man with a horn. Now just use a word for the sixth element, a specific word. Very difficult. What is totally non-existent? You can't have a word for it. Very, very difficult. You can never find a word that can refer to what is not. Man's horn is not referring to what is not. Man's horn is referring to man that is there and horn that is there. And what is not there is the connection. Bas. And even the idea of connection is there. Very difficult. It's not possible to have a word for which it's not possible. Therefore, a person who would like to have a pot in the future, he goes about creating a pot now. Even though right now it is not manifest, but he would like to make it manifest, but he sees its potentiality. And I am concluding, when we say God saw and He created, it means God sees the potential and He makes it manifest. Bas itna hi hai. He sees the potentiality, He sees the unmanifest and makes it manifest. It's a prakriya, ji. Even the prakriya should be, logical, you see. Prakriya independent of Tatparyam can raise so many doubts. But Prakriya becomes really flawless in the light of Tatparyam. Minus the Tatparyam, Prakriya becomes flawed. So when we say God saw the potentiality and He makes it manifest, say, step Prakriya. Like a pot maker sees the pot and makes it. A sculptor in a big rock sees it. Bhagwan Shivaji ka murti, he sees the murti in it and chisels all the redundant stuff, and then what you have is the statue. He sees the statue in the rock and he makes it manifest. Something like that. He saw, God saw and He created. It's like saying the pot maker sees the pot and creates it. That means, creation means what is unmanifestly present is made manifest. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Ji, 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 Hari Om Ji. ಬೇರೆ ಉಟ್ಕೆ ರಮಣ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಆಕೆ थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ के जाने से ठीक रहता है।